What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on the Hard Count, the Cincinnati Bearcats, they're into the college football playoff. What does this mean for the future expansion of the college football playoff? We will discuss. Welcome into CFP with JD, the people's channel for every single thing college football content on YouTube. Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie, they make sure that all the magic happens behind the scenes, and y'all drive the show. So to both parties, thank you. Cincinnati is now in the college football playoff at a 4 seed. Rankings dropped yesterday. History was made. The group of 5 is in the big dance. At number 1, you got Bama. Number 2, you got Michigan. Number 3, you got Georgia. And number 4, the committee's worst nightmare, and Cincinnati Bearcats are into the big dance. Now, we have to have this conversation because I don't think anybody thinks that those 4 were the wrong 4. Even if you're Notre Dame, you have to secede that they handed you that L in South Bend. That's just how it goes, my guy. I'm sorry, but Cincinnati, you're not losing a tiebreak with Notre Dame because you won all your games, and also you beat them. So the head-to-head should definitely hold there, and it has held there, so we're all happy to see that. But what does this mean for the future of college football playoff expansion? I mean, you tell me. You're in the comment section as well, so you tell me what you think. Here's what I think. I think that the fact that Cincinnati was able to make it plays out a pretty explicit formula for future Group of 5 teams to make it. Because that was always the myth, right? It was, hey, a Group of 5 team will never make it. They don't want a Group of 5 team to make it. I'm not even saying that's not true, that they didn't want a Group of 5 team to make it, but the facts are facts. Cincinnati's in the dance. So what is the formula? The formula is be able to have some good faith, as Cincinnati did, played for New Year's Six Bowl last year, played Georgia really close, started the year in the top 10. If Cincinnati doesn't start this year in the top 10, I don't care if they're undefeated. I don't care if they blow Notre Dame out, if they blow Notre Dame out by more points, I should say, because they beat them pretty handily. They're not in this equation. They're not in the top 4 because they're not able to climb quite as quickly. So have some good faith. 2, be able to schedule some big dogs. And I think the rebuttal to that is, well, how do you know who's going to be good? How do you know that you're going to be able to schedule some big dogs? How do you know that when you schedule these games 5-10 years before they even happen, that they're going to actually be worth anything? Well, I think that's fair to a degree, but can we just use some common sense here? Like Notre Dame, if you're scheduling Notre Dame and you're Cincinnati, you feel pretty good they're going to be a good opponent. Also, you're getting paid a check to come play them, so let's not be upset about that. In 10 years, if you were to tell me Ohio State is going to be a bad football team, that would be extremely surprising. So we can revisit that in 10 years. All of us together can talk about how bad Ohio State is or isn't in 10 years. But if you're to schedule a game with Ohio State in 2031 right now in your Group of 5 team, you have some good faith that that game will be a tough one because Ohio State historically is really good. You get what I'm saying here? And then finally, and probably most importantly, win all your games. Cincinnati didn't really have the style points every single contest that we wanted to see them have. Still, they won all their games. There's no argument to be made for a 1-loss Cincinnati. That's just ridiculous. So the thesis here, the myth is busted. The myth is absolutely busted and a half here. There's no Group of 5 team that will ever make it. That was considered to be a lie. Because Cincinnati is now playing for the college football playoff and will have a chance to play for the national championship if they are to get past Alabama. And we'll do a preview on Alabama and Cincinnati sometime in the near future, because I don't know if that game's quite as big a stretch as some people want to make it believe. But I just think this shows that we need to really take a hard look at this 4-team playoff. Because like I said, the biggest argument, or one of the biggest arguments, one of the loudest voices you heard for expansion was get a Group of 5 team in there. 2017 UCF, get them in there. Group of 5 teams in the dance now. Are we still moaning and groaning about that? Second thing we heard was parity. We need to see more parity. There's not enough parity in college football. Why don't we have more teams in the playoff that we've never seen before? No Oklahoma this year. No Clemson this year. No Ohio State this year. You got your parity. Michigan's never been to the playoff. Cincinnati's never been to the playoff. Alabama and Georgia, I understand you've seen them before. So if that upsets you, I think that's a valid point. However, what's not valid is having an issue with them making the playoff, because you cannot convince me otherwise that these are not 2 of the best 4 teams in the country. If you were to leave either one of them out, you would be doing a disservice to the playoff itself. So let's backtrack a little bit. Why is it so hard for a Group of 5 team to get in? Well, if we really get down to it, college football is about getting the best team, right? The best team. Well, what are the best teams made of? typically, not all the time, but the best team is typically comprised of the best players. And the best players typically go to these schools that are competing for national titles. So you cannot fault somebody for not necessarily thinking extremely highly of a team that is comprised of 2 and 3 stars. And that's not what Cincinnati is, to further bolster their point. They got 3 or 4 guys that are going to be able to play in the NFL someday and have a chance to compete at the highest level of football. That is a reality. Cincinnati has got some guys that are going to be able to make a whole lot of money on Sundays. Fact is a fact. And finally, to round out this whole conversation, I just want to make it clear that I'm for whatever's best for college football. Like, if what's best for college football is to go to 8 teams, that's great. Let's do it. Do we need to go from 4 to 8 right away? That seems like doubling the entirety of your playoff field that's been working to this point feels like a little bit knee-jerky to me. And what I think a lot of people are calling for in that 8-team and 12-team field is a product. You're calling for a product. The minute you make college football a product, you're in the wrong. Okay, you're in the wrong, because college football playoff as a whole is not built to be a product. Granted, there's a lot of money that comes from it. There's a lot of people that get their pockets very full because of it. A lot of people calling the shots are calling it as a product. But the college football playoff's purpose is to crown the best team as the national champion. So when Alabama and Cincinnati go toe-to-toe on New Year's Eve, you are going to see the best team win, more likely than not. If it's Cincinnati, beautiful. I would love for nothing more than Cincinnati to win the national championship, because in that sense, you have now eliminated for a lot of people the bias or the thought that a group of 5 team can't compete at that level. Even more so, I think you knock down the conversation that you need to go to 12 teams, because a 4-seed Cincinnati just won the dance. Now, you're going to have your own argument. You're going to come back at it with me. If you make college football a product in your conversation, in your argument against this, go back to the drawing board, because I don't want to hear about that. That's not what the playoff is for. That's it for us here at The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Again, subscribe to the channel. Nearly every single day, you're going to get a video. Not just because of me, because of Armstrong, Sims, Jack McKenzie making it all happen. We appreciate you. We love you. We will keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time.